Good morning and welcome, everyone. Today is July 10, 2020. Some housekeeping matters before we begin our hearing today. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. All registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you mute all of your personal devices, including the YouTube stream, when you are not speaking, to prevent transmission of background noise and minimize disruption to the meeting. Please unmute your computer microphones before speaking, but please ensure to mute the YouTube streaming while you are speaking. The hearing will take at a slower pace. Each item will be stated, and then a moment will be given to allow everyone time to find their place. Please write down the WebEx meeting access code and attendee ID from your WebEx meeting invitation and keep it nearby for quick reference. If you experience lag or audio issues, disconnect and call into the hearing and enter this information. Please call into the hearing with the phone number that you have registered with so that staff can recognize your number and unmute you when your item comes up. Before we begin our hearing, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Toronto is now called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for minor variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to create new lots. I will now go through the hearing procedure. To ensure a fair and timely hearing, I will vet the agenda to determine which applications can be dealt with immediately and which applications require a more in-depth review. Each speaker, including the applicant or the agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or the agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee of the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals, either in support or in opposition to the application, will be invited to speak. All those registered participants will be invited to speak. Please ensure to include all your remarks or concerns that you may have. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished with their presentation. If there are several speakers sharing the same view, please select a spokesperson to present the group's opinion. We certainly want to hear your views. However, covering the same points and concerns will not advance your cause. Please be advised that all participants at the hearing today will be given a chance to speak before the committee moves on to the applicant for a rebuttal or a response to the concerns. The chair will advise if there are any questions for the participants. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or the agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. Please note that unless committee members have any questions, the participants will not get a chance to rebut the applicant's response. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. The committee has received the minutes of the last meeting. I would like to have a motion to confirm and adopt the meeting minutes. Please.
I put forward a motion to adopt the last meeting minutes, please.
We have a motion on the floor to adopt the minutes of the last meeting. May I have a seconder?
Madam Chair, I will move the motion to second the approval of the minutes.
Member Said seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion is carried, and the minutes of the last meeting have been adopted. Are there any declarations of interest of panel or staff today? I would like to declare my conflict of interest on item number 1. This is for 90 Granger Avenue, and I'm acquainted, or the agent on the application is an acquaintance of mine. I hope that is recorded. Thank you. Deferral requests. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, have you received any requests for deferral?
There is one request on actually item 2.
Thank you, Mr. Ramdale. Do we know the reason for this deferral?
Through the chair. The reason, there was an error in the public notice regarding the proposed lot areas for parts 1 and 2. And since accurate notice was not given, the application must be deferred to and rescheduled to the next hearing, which is July 23rd. The applicant and members of the public who submitted correspondence have been advised of the error and the rescheduled hearing date.
Thank you very much. We have on the list, I believe online as well, the agent on the application, Peter Jerusik. Mr. Jerusik, are you online?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. So we have a request to defer the application because an incorrect notice was given. You are aware of that issue?
We are, yes.
Okay, thank you. We also have on the list 2 parties who were interested and had registered, Paul Steinberg and, sorry if I can't pronounce the first name, Jiaolan Yang. Are you online with us as well?
Through the speaker, no, they have not signed in.
They haven't signed in, okay. They're probably aware that the matters was being deferred. Okay, thank you very much for that. Members of the committee, we have a request for deferral because an incorrect notice was given for the application. May I have a motion on this deferral request?
I put forward a motion to defer the application to the next hearing.
Thank you. We have a motion to defer the application to the next hearing. Seconder, please.
Madam Chair, I will second that motion.
Thank you. Member McCauley seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried. The application has been deferred to the next hearing on July 23rd. Are there any further requests for deferral, sir?
Through the chair, no.
Thank you very much. We have no further requests for deferral. I will now vet the agenda. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda and ask if anyone other than the agent or the applicant is present in interest and wishes to address the committee. If there are people in interest and would like to discuss this matter, the matter will be held until all non-contested applications have been cleared from the agenda. If there is no person present in interest, then the agent or the applicant will proceed with their presentation if required, or the committee may ask questions and then take the matter into committee for decision. We will begin the reading of the agenda. As I mentioned, I do have a conflict on item number 1, so I will step away and I will request Member M to chair item number 1 for me. Thank you.
Good morning. The first item on the agenda is 90 Granger Avenue. The application is to obtain a consent to sever the property into 2 residential lots with associated variances. Do we have the applicant on the line? Hello, sir? Mr.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Perfect. And may I ask, do we have any members of the public here today with any matters of interest?
Through the chair, we have no members of the public speaking on this item.
Thank you. Does any members of committee have any questions or concerns with item number 1?
Madam Chair, I have a short question. Do the applicant is aware of the recommendations of the planning, the engineering side as well as the urban forestry conditions?
Madam Chair, we acknowledge the comments from community planning, urban forestry, and engineering and development.
And sir, your client has no issue with providing the 1.8 meters privacy screening on the rear balconies?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Members of committee, do you need any further information, or are we prepared to put forward a motion?
Madam Chair, I'm prepared to recommend approval of this application, subject to the community planning condition of solid screening, the development engineering conditions, and the urban forestry conditions.
And standard conditions of consent.
That's development engineering and standard
Okay.
conditions of consent.
Do I have a seconder?
Madam Chair, I will second this motion for approval, subject to the condition mentioned by Member Annie.
Perfect. All in favor? All in favor.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Your application has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member M. Moving on to item number 3. Item number 3 is 43 Upton Road. Do we have the agent online with us? We have Dino Detra, who has registered as the agent.
Correct.
Thank
And we
you.
have Jeremy Alter, who's the representative for the ownership group.
Thank you. We do not have any registered participants on this application. Members of the committee, any questions for this application? If there are no questions, are you prepared to put forward a motion?
Madam Chair, I'm prepared to recommend approval of this application, subject to the community planning conditions that they will build in accordance with the site plan submitted.
Thank you. Mr. Detra, are you aware of that condition from community planning?
Yes,
Thank-
we are.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor to approve the application subject to condition of community planning report. Have a seconder?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. Your application has been approved, subject to condition of community planning.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Greatly
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. We move to item number 4, 3875 McNicoll Avenue. It is an application to permit a personal service shop, salon, and spa in Unit 106 of an existing plaza. Do we have the agent online with us?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Ida Evangelista on behalf of 3875 McNicoll.
Thank you very much, Ms. Evangelista. We have also registered on our list Ruwan A.W. Jayakody, who is the owner and the landlord, as well as Nicholas Dominelli, who is Ward 23, Councillor Lai's executive assistant. These are registered with us as participants on this call. Members of the
Right, Madam Chair. My apologies. I have the owner on the call in the event that there are any questions that are directed to him. However, I will be the speaker for this application.
Thank you very much. Members of the committee, are there any questions on item number 4 for Ms. Evangelista at this time? If there are no questions, are you prepared to put forward a motion on this application?
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm prepared to put forward an an approval to this application. I don't see any conditions on this file.
Thank you very much. May I have a seconder, please?
I will second that approval.
Thank you. We have Member Macaulay seconding the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried. Your application has been approved and there are no conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and have a nice weekend.
Thank you, you too. Item number 5, 112 Brooklawn Avenue. We have on the list, registered with us as an agent, Course Albion Building Consultant INC. And we also have Mr. Peter Jerusik of Art Design Group, also registered with us as the agent. Do we have Mr. Jerusik and Course Albion online with us?
Mr. Jerusik is online here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jerusik. We have before us an application to propose a new single-family detached house, and there are 2 variances that are being requested. Members of the committee, do we have any questions for Mr. Jerusik at this time?
Madam Chair, I have a quick question for Mr. Jerusik, and that is the deck requested already constructed at the size that he is requesting?
Yes, it is. So the original house had a deck of 10 by 8 off to one side. During construction, we created a larger sliding door in the back, and we centered the deck, and to encompass the sliding door so that the railings don't hit it, it got extended 4 feet wider and about 2 feet deeper. And in light of that, brought us into contravention with the original zoning. So we're in here to correct that the issue.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Member Macaulay. Just on record, we do have 3 letters of objection which the committee members have reviewed and considered. If there are no further questions, are you prepared to make a motion on this application?
But don't we have registered speakers?
We only had 2 agents. Mr. Jerusik represented the application.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
I do not have any other registered participants for this application. Okay. Are you prepared to make a motion?
Madam Chair, I would like to move the motion for approval of this application. There is no conditions attached to that.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Ms. Mohammed Said to approve the applications, and there are no conditions. May I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that motion.
Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried. Mr. Jerusik, your application has been approved, and there are no conditions.
Thank you very much.
Moving to item number 6 for 17 Dorine Crescent. This is an application to construct a 2-story rear addition, a 2nd-story addition over the existing dwelling, and a new attached garage. And we have before us 3 variances. We have on our list registered agent as Tanya Pejovic.
Yes, the agent is here present.
Thank you. We also have two interested parties listed on our list, Sherry McDonald and Rod Seyfert. Are you online with us?
Yes. Sherry McDonald.
Thank you. Rod Seyfert?
Rod Seifert.
Thank you very much. And you are representing this, you're participating today in opposition or in support of this application? Sherry, are you here in support or in opposition to this application?
I'm here.
Sorry, could you repeat that? Sherry, can you hear us? Sherry, are you online with us?
My apologies, Madam Chair. I am here in opposition to the application.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Seifert, are you here in opposition or in support of this application? Mr. Seifert, are you here with us?
Here, I represent. Oh, can you hear?
I can hear you. My question is, are you here today in support of this application or in opposition?
By the chair.
Okay, so I think we will hold down this item anyways because we have an interested party who is in opposition or has concerns with this application. So we will hold down item number 6 and come back to it when we resume the main our main meeting after the vetting session. So item number 6 has been held. Item number 7, we have 66 Cornell Avenue. Item number 7, 66 Cornell Avenue. This is an application to construct a new 2-story single-family detached dwelling, and we have 3 variances before us. We have our registered agent as Mr. Jarusik. Mr. Jarusik, are you online with us?
I am.
Thank you. We also have on our list Joe and Michelle Natalie as interested parties. Do we have Joe and Michelle Natalie online with us? Joe and Michelle Natalie.
Through the chair, I don't have them signed in yet.
Thank you very much. Members of the committee, do we have any questions on this application? I see none, but I do have these 2 names as interested parties, so maybe we will wait and come back to this item at the end of the vetting of the agenda in case they reconnect with us. So I'm holding this item down until the vetting is completed.
Through the chair, you may want to suggest that if they are having problems connecting, that they can phone in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramdale. So Joe and Michelle Natalie, if you are listening to us, watching the YouTube stream, if you wish to join this session, you also have the option of phoning in, and that number is available online. That number is, I will give you the number for the WebEx phone in. It is 416-915-6530, and the access code is 133-061-6797. So all registered participants, if any of you are having trouble in connecting with us, you can also phone in with this number that I have just mentioned and also provided the access code. Thank you. So item 7, we are holding down until we get confirmation on the interested parties. We move on to item number 8. Item number 8 is 321 Blantyre Avenue. This is an application to construct a new rear basement addition with a walkout deck on the main floor, and we have before us 2 variances. I have on the list as a registered agent, Stephanie Haddad. Stephanie, are you online with us?
Through the chair, Stephanie has not signed in yet. However, I do have the owners online.
Thank you. We have as the owners Rebecca Singles and Chris Noakes. My apologies if the pronunciation is not accurate. We have these names as the owners. Are you with us, Rebecca and Chris?
Yes.
Thank you. We also have on our list interested parties. We have Bernd Passler and Matthew Sylvan. Is Bernd online with us? Is Bernd online with us?
Yes.
Oh.
Hello, can you hear us, Bernd?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you. We just wanted to make sure that you were online with us. And are you here in support or in opposition to this application?
I'm actually working for Stephanie. I'm representing the owner.
Oh, thank you very much. And we also have...
I'll be doing the talking.
Okay, thank you. And Matthew is with us as well, Matthew Sylvan?
Through the chair, Matthew has not signed in.
Okay, and do we know if Matthew was in support or had concerns with this application?
Through the chair, we don't know the position.
Okay, so Stephanie, Rebecca, Chris, and Bernd, we have a party listed here who has not signed in yet. So we would like to give them a few minutes to connect if they are having difficulties at this time to connect. Meanwhile, I will ask members of the committee if there are any questions on this application. None? Okay. So we will hold down this item, Stephanie, Rebecca, and Bernd, in case Matthew shows up and connects with us. Thank you. So we will come back to this item. Item number 9.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
May I just make a note? I know that Matt Sylvan is our next door neighbor. He has signed a letter of consent. I'm just texting him now. He had indicated to me he just wanted to see what was going on, but I'm texting him now to make sure that he comes on.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you for doing that for us. But we will hold down this item to give Matthew an opportunity to connect before we make a decision. Thank you. So item number 9, 91 Eastville Avenue. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling, and we have before us 4 variances. We have on the list, registered with us as the agent, Kyle Kadra. Kyle, are you online with us?
I'm present, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. We also have Natasha Taylor signed as an interested party. Natasha, are you online with us?
Yes, I am here.
And Natasha, could you advise us if you are here in support or in opposition to this application?
I'm in opposition to one of the variances.
Okay, thank you very much, Natasha. So this requires further discussion. We will hold down this item and we'll come back to
Chair,
it.
if I may.
Sorry?
May speak? Just 5 minutes. I want to ask for a deferral.
Please go ahead. What's the question?
So just 5 minutes ago, unfortunately, we received an updated notice from the zoning examiner identifying 2 errors in their examination. And unfortunately, we have no choice but to defer to the soonest coming hearing.
Okay. All right. At this point, then, how do we deal with this, staff?
Through the chair, you can, the committee may wish to recommend deferral subject to the applicant submitting the revised zoning notice, and revised notice would be required. Public notice would also be required based on that zoning notice.
Okay. Thank you. So, Kyle, we have advice from our staff that a revised submission will be required and notices will have to be reissued in accordance with the Planning Act, and that a deferral would be appropriate at this time. Natasha, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I understand. So I'll just keep an eye out for the updated planning notice.
That's correct. Thank you very much for your understanding, Natasha. It's a requirement and there's no other way around it. So we will, staff will notify you of the notice at the appropriate time. Thank you very much for this. So if there are no, thank you. So committee members, you heard there will be a deferral on this application. So may I have a motion on that?
Madam Chair, through you, I put forward a motion to defer this application, signed dia, subject to the applicant submitting revised plans and PPR and notice being circulated.
Thank you very much. We have a seconder on this.
Madam Chair, I second that motion.
Thank you. Member Macaulay seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion carries. Kyle, your application has been deferred, sine die, and staff will get in touch with you for the next steps. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item number 10. Item number 10 is 84 Bexhill Avenue. The application is to construct a new two-story, single-family detached residential dwelling, and we have before us 4 variances. On the list for item 10, we have our agent listed as Nasser Tagavi Modem, and we also have the owner, Arbor Valiage. Are Nasser and Arbor online with us?
Through the chair, the agent is not online, however, the owner is.
Thank you. Arbor, are you with us? Can you hear us?
Yes, I am. How's everybody doing today? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you very much. We do not have others listed, anybody else listed on the list with us. Members of the committee, we are looking at item 10. Any questions at this time for the applicant, sorry, the owner?
Madam Chair, I have a quick question from Mr. Arbor, and I think we can process this right now. So, Mr. Arbor, could you let me know, like, how much area is there for the soft landscaping? Could you just let me know the percentage of that area?
I know that the lot, it's a 40 by 106, so whatever he did when I spoke to my architect, who's not here, he mentioned that for the soft landscaping, we're more than good to go. We keep that under consideration, but I don't have that information, the exact number at the moment. We did, when we built this house, we made sure that everybody, when we designed it, everybody in the neighborhood has done something like this before. We did try to go above and beyond.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Arbor.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. Every variance that we did, we just did our homework in the area, and we made sure that we're not asking for more height that's been approved or for bigger square footage that's been approved in the area. I have a house which is right behind our house, a little bit to the right, and they went for about the same size that we did.
Okay, thank you, Arbor. We are looking at the site plan that provides the statistics for the soft landscaping area. And Member Muhammad? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arbor. Yeah, I'm looking at the site plan, and I think I got the answers to that question. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have the answer. Thank you. Any further questions? If not, then are we prepared to put forward a motion?
Madam Chair, I would like to put forward the motion for approval of this application, subject to the condition of urban forestry.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion before us to approve the application. And Mr. Arbor, are you aware of the conditions of urban forestry?
Yes, I am. There's 2 points in them.
Okay, and you have no questions or concerns with that?
No, I just want to make sure that you guys receive the drawings, and that's about it, because we're doing this online and I'm not there.
Okay, no worries. Whatever material has been submitted is before us, and we have reviewed that material, so thank you for that. We have the motion to approve, subject to conditions. Seconder, please.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried. Your application has been approved, subject to conditions of urban forestry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We now go to item 11. Item 11 is 116 Presley Avenue, and the application is to construct a new two-story single-family residential dwelling, and the existing dwelling will be demolished. We have before us 3 variances. We have on the list of registered participants, the agent, Marhad Mahadvaduvi Noorzadeh. Are you online with us, Marhad?
Through the chair, the agent was online, however, they are not there anymore. They were previously.
They were previously? Okay. We'll give some time. We do have some other members who would like to speak. We also have on the list a few registered participants who would like to speak. Mahfouzul Haq, are you online with us?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And you have,
Hello?
yes, we can hear you. And Mahfouzul Haq, you have some concerns with this application?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We also have on the list with us Naima Haq Kohli. Are you online with us?
Madam Chair, I'll be speaking on behalf of her. She is my wife.
Okay, thank you. So Naima is your wife, okay. And we also have Selvapan Selathurai and Malar Vili Selvapan. Are you online with us?
Through the chair, that interested party has not signed in.
Okay, thank you. So this requires further deliberation, and we also do not have the agent online with us, so we will hold down this item and come back to it in the main body. We will now move to item number 12. Item number 12 is 875 Middlefield Road. And this is an application to construct an addition to an existing industrial building. 2 properties have been merged as one lot. This application was deferred at the June 16th hearing in order for the applicant to obtain a parking study. We have before us, again, the 2 variances that were requested. Since then, we have also received some information and updated comments from our transportation department at the city. We have on the list registered with us Alexis Richter as the agent. Alexis, are you online with us?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And we also have Larry May as the architect registered with us. Larry, are you online with us?
Yes, I am. Larry May here.
Thank you very much. Members of the committee, any questions for the agent and the architect at this time? If there are no questions, are you prepared to put forward a motion?
Madam Chair, I'm prepared to recommend approval of this application. There are no conditions.
Thank you. May I have a seconder?
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Member M is in favor of this motion. Member McCauley is in favor of this motion. All opposed to this motion? Member Said has opposed this motion. Motion carries. Your application has been approved, and there are no conditions.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
There is forestry conditions are there.
Were there? Okay. Before you leave, Alexis and Larry, I was just advised that there were 2 conditions from urban forestry.
Yes, we are aware.
Okay, and so if we can add that to the motion?
Madam Chair, I will amend my motion, recommend approval, subject to the conditions of urban forestry.
Member M, you second that motion?
I second that motion.
Okay, so the motion is carried. Your application's been approved, subject to conditions of urban forestry. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thanks. I will now move to item number 13. Item number 13 is at 68 Harewood Avenue. And we have before us 5 variances. We've received some revisions from the agent with withdrawing of 3 variances, but let's proceed with to check who's online with us. So Leo Mestrandria from Lemcat Consultants is the agent. Are you online with us, Leo?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. Is the owner with you as well?
Yes.
Okay, and the owner is Michael Clark?
That's right.
Thank you very much. We also have in the list of participants registered Alan Burt. Alan, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Wendy Hooker, are you online with us?
Through the chair,
Thank you.
No.
So we have Alan so far, we have Wendy so far. Natasha Taylor, are you with us as well?
Here.
Thank,
Yes, I am here.
thank you. We have Christine Shamanka. Are you with us, Christine?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. And we have Kimberly Fawcett Smith, registered. Kimberly, Kimberly, you're with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so this definitely needs deliberation and further discussion, and I will hold down this item for further discussion and come back to it.
Okay, been deferred.
It's not been deferred, it's been held.
Okay, it's been put off. It's
Through the chair, we're holding this item, correct? We are not deferring this item. We're holding the item.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's the residents who thought we're deferring this.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to clarify for the benefit of everyone who is registered with us and listening to us right now on this application. There have been some changes proposed to this application, and there are a few residents that we just went through the roll call who are interested in speaking on this item. Because this requires further deliberation and discussion, we have not made a decision yet. We are holding down this item, and we will come back to it when we resume the main body of the meeting. We're only vetting the agenda right now. Okay? So stay online. Do not sign out. We will come back to it. Thank you very much. Moving to item 14, 1571 Sandhurst Circle. This is an application to permit an indoor zoo in an existing unit, an existing plaza, and that the zoo will be in the lower level with access from the main floor. We have before us a variance to permit the use. On the list, we have the agent, Maggie Lowe. Maggie, are you online with us?
Yes, I'm here, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And we also have registered with us Nicholas Dominelli, Councillor's Executive Assistant. Are you here with us, Nicholas?
I am here.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the committee, do we have any questions on this application at this time?
Madam Chair, I have some questions on this application.
Okay, thank you. So as you heard, Maggie and Nicholas, members of the committee have some questions on this application. So we will hold down this item and come back to it. Do stay online, and we will hear this item when we get to the main meeting.
Yes, well, no problem.
Thank you. We will now move to item number 15. Item number 15 is 87 Romulus Drive. The application is to construct a second-story addition over the existing garage, and we have before us one variance. We have on our list of registered participants, the agent and the owner, Andre Velko. Are you online with us?
Yes, I am, and thank you for pronouncing my name correctly.
Oh, thank you.
You got it.
I was a little apprehensive in pronouncing it the way I did, but thank you for that. Okay, so we have Andre online, and members of committee, do we have any questions for Andre? Okay, if there are no questions, let me just take a look. Do we have any conditions? We do not have any conditions, but just on record, we did receive one letter of objection that has been reviewed by the committee. So members of committee, if there are no further questions, may I please have a motion on this application?
Madam Chairman, I recommend approval of this application. There are no conditions.
Thank you. Have a seconder, please.
Madam Chair, I will second the motion for approval of this application. There is no conditions attached to that.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. We have a seconder. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. Andre, your application has been approved and there are no conditions.
Thank you very much, committee and Madam Chair, and everyone have a nice, cool day.
Thank you very much. Enjoy. We now move to item number 16. Item number 16 is 90 Cornell Avenue. And the application is to construct a second-story addition above the existing attached garage with a new rear deck and a new secondary suite in the basement. And we have before us 4 variances. In terms of the registered participants, I have Julia D. Andrade as the applicant and owner who is participating with us today. Julia, are you online with us?
I am online.
Thank you. Members of the committee, we have Julia online with us and we have the application before us. Do you have any questions for Julia? If there are, there are questions?
No, there is no question.
If there are no questions, can I please have a motion on this one?
Madam Chair, I would like to move the motion for approval of this application, and there is condition of urban forestry.
And Julia, are you aware of the condition of urban forestry?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, so there's a condition from urban forestry on this that you would require a submission of a complete application for a permit for any trees that are being removed or injured as per the requirement.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a condition that's before us for that one. Let me just confirm that. Okay, just let me confirm again.
Yeah, you're right.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we have on the floor a motion to approve the application subject to condition of urban forestry, and Member M.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. Julia, your application has been approved subject to condition of urban forestry.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee.
Thank you. We will now move to item number 17. Item number 17 is 35 Lynndale Road, and the application is to construct a new second-story addition, a rear addition, and a new rear deck. And we have before us 1 variance on the maximum floor area permission. For participants that have registered, we have Will Hudson from Hudson Architecture as the agent. Will, are you there with us?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Committee. I am here.
Thank you. So we have Mr. Hudson online with us, members of committee. Are there any questions for Will at this time?
Madam Chair, I have a quick question for Will. I see we have a letter from TRCA saying they have no concerns. Did you submit a permit to TRCA?
Not yet. I think that's in the that's coming up. I believe the process for that's actually being handled by another consultant. Is that when we get ready for building permit, we'll submit to them for a formal permit application. I think they have to come to the site and review it, but basically they seem to be on board. And they're okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? If none, then may I please have a motion on this?
Madam Chair, I put forward a motion for approval for this application.
Thank you. Seconder, please.
I will second that.
Member Macaulay seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried. Will, your application has been approved and there are no conditions.
Many thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
We now move to item number 18. Item number 18 is 12 Hopecrest Crescent, and the application is to construct a 2-story front, side, and rear addition. We have before us 2 variances. For registered participants, I have Saba Al-Matno from QSB Architects as the agent. Saba, are you online with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, thank you. We also have the owner, Mohammed Hassan. Are you online with us, Mohammed?
Through the chair, Mohammed has not signed in.
Okay, thank you. So Mohammed has not signed in. Members of the committee, do we have any questions for Saba, who's the agent online? No questions? If there are no questions, can I please have a motion on this? And are there any conditions?
Madam Chair, there's urban forestry conditions.
Okay, so there's an urban forestry condition. Saba, are you aware of the urban forestry condition?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. TRCA had no objection as well. For record, we have 2 letters of support. If there are no further questions, may I have a motion, please?
I'll put forward a motion, Madam Chair, subject to the urban forestry conditions.
Thank you. Seconder?
I will second that motion.
Member Macaulay seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried, Saba. Your application has been approved and subject to condition of urban forestry.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. We now move to item number 19. Item number 19 is 20 Bowes Garden Court. The application is to construct a 2nd-story addition over the existing garage and a new 1-story rear addition. We have before us 3 variances. For registered participants, we have Peter Barton as the agent. Peter, are you online with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
I could.
Oh, great. Yes, I'm here. Yes, Peter Barton here.
Thank you, Peter. We also have on our list Celestia Richards and Sheldon Wilson as interested parties. Celestia and Sheldon, are you online with us?
Through the chair, they were online, however, they are not there any longer. They were previously.
There, okay. So we will have to hold this item just in case they're having trouble in signing. And again, I will repeat that if you're having trouble signing in to the WebEx, there's a phone number that has been provided and with an access code. Please call in with that number. But for record, we will hold down item number 19 to allow Celestia and Sheldon to reconnect. So Peter, stay online with us. We will come back to it. Item number 20 for 60 North Wind Place. This is an application to construct a single-story addition to the rear of the existing warehouse building. The variance, there's only 1 variance before us. We have registered with us Brian Wilsey as the agent. Brian, are you with us?
Yes, Madam Chair. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Members of the committee, are there any questions for Brian at this time? I see none. If there are no questions, can I please have a motion? And there are no conditions.
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of this application.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried. Brian, your application for 60 North Wind Place has been approved and there are no conditions.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
We will now move to item number 21. Item number 21 is 43 Bexhill Avenue. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling, and we have before us 11 variances. We have registered with us Abdul Momin as the agent. Abdul Momin, are you online with us?
Through the chair, the agent has not signed in.
Okay. The agent has not signed in, and I do not see any other registered participants. Members of the committee, are there any questions on this application? I mean, we cannot answer those questions because the agent's not there, but would you like to hold this down for further discussion?
Madam Chair, I recommend we hold this item.
Okay, so we will hold down item 21 for 43 Bexhill Avenue. And Abdul Momin, if you are listening to us, please try to connect again. We have held down this item. We will come back to it on this for further discussion with you before making a decision. Item number 22 for the address is 580A and 580B Pharmacy Avenue. And the application is to permit additional variances for dwellings that are currently under construction. And we have before us two variances for 580A and then two variances for 580B Pharmacy. Faisal, are you online with us?
Through the chair, the agent has not signed in today.
Okay, so Faisal Ahmad, the agent, has not signed in yet. Members of the committee, do we have any questions or would you like to hold down this item?
I'd like to hold down this item, Madam Chair.
Okay, so we are holding down item 22 for Pharmacy Avenue applications. Faisal, if you are listening to us, please try to connect with the information that has been provided to you. This brings us to the end of the agenda. We have certain items that are being held because for some reason the agents or the owners have not been able to connect. So we will just start with our main meeting, and then as we proceed in the order of the agenda, as and when people join in, we will deliberate on those items. So we will start with item number...
Madam Chair,
Yes,
can we just go over the items that we've held?
that's a very good idea. Thank you, Member Macaulay. So far, we have, the first item that has been held is item number 6, item number 7, item number 8, item number 11, item number 13.
Was item number 9 not blocked? I'm pretty sure item number 9 was.
No, it was deferred. Okay, so, sorry, I'm going to repeat here. Item 6, item 7, item 8, item 11, item 13, item 14, item 19, item 21, item 22. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Member Macaulay, for suggesting that. I think it's a good way to let our listeners know as well. So we will start our discussion on item number 6 for 17 Dorine Crescent. And we have online with us Tanya. Tanya is the agent, Tanya Pejovic.
Good morning, Madam Chair and the members of the committee.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Members of the committee, would you like to have a presentation on this, or do you have any questions for Tanya before we move on to the participants?
Madam Chair, I do have a quick question
Please.
for the agent. So after reading some of the letters of objection, as well as looking at the plans, can you please advise why it's not possible to shift the whole building westward in order to allow for a little bit more separation on the east side where you're asking for a 0.37 encroachment into the side yard setback?
Yes, that would be good, in fact, to give more information about this garage. The proposal, in fact, encompasses attached garage to a house instead of currently detached garage. Current detached garage is 35 centimeters setback from the property line. This attached garage is, in fact, just simply shifted towards the front of the lot and then attached to a remaining part of the dwelling area. The reason why it cannot be shifted or why the setback cannot be enlarged more is because the only way to access this garage is through the existing driveway, which the width of this driveway is 243. And in order to have regular access to a garage, which would be the same as we would have the garage in the backyard as a detached garage. We have the same requirement for this attached garage. So we had to make sufficient distance from the existing portion of the house, and at the same time, in fact, to allow regular access to a door, to a garage door, as well as to the access into the inner space of the garage. We have that analysis, and it's in fact shown that requirement on the sheet which was submitted earlier with the plans, and that is page A14, showing in fact radius which is necessary to allow regular access to a garage. If the garage would be shifted more to the house, first we will have irregular width of the garage, which is currently 325 and the minimum is 320. And this we also wanted in fact to have the setback of the garage, which is almost the same as the setback of the current detached garage. And that is the main reason. In fact, we have existing situation, existing position of the house at the front, existing width of the driveway, which serves as the access either to attach or to detach garage. The other way would be to demolish the half of the house in order to make the attached garage. But in this way, we just simply merge the space of the garage with the house. On the other side, I would just also emphasize that this garage and second story addition on it, the wall side, east wall of the second story addition is not following garage wall. In fact, it is exactly in line with the side walls of the existing house, which means in fact that from the east side, second floor wall on the east side has setback of 2 meters and 43 centimeters. And all other features of the house, which are, I would say, like a height of a house, height of the main walls, coverage, or length of a house, are complying with the zoning requirements. So, in fact, this garage, which has a wall, which is, I would just also emphasize that proposed garage is shorter than the existing one.
Ms. Tanya, I'm just mostly concerned with the setback on the east side. So that's what I'm just focusing my questions on. So you're saying, and now that I'm seeing the outline in the site plan, that there's an existing detached garage that is that has a setback that is of the same setback. My question, though, was that I had thought you were demolishing the existing house in order to reconstruct a new house. So now I'm understanding that this is a renovation, not a complete rebuild, and that you will be rebuilding on the footprint of the previous house, correct? And so therefore it's not possible to shift the building.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, on the site plan is shown existing bungalow rear addition. Which
No, I understand what you're saying. I just wanted to, because it said it was labeled proposed 2-story stucco dwelling. So I wasn't sure whether you were constructing a brand new dwelling or if it was a renovation to the existing dwelling. So, because I figured if it was going to be a whole new foundation being poured, why you couldn't shift that building. But I understand now through your comments that it's in addition to the existing building, and that it's not possible to move the footprint. So that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you as well.
Thank you, Tanya, for your detailed explanation. Members of the committee, any further questions for Tanya at this time? Mohammed, please go ahead.
Ms. Tanya, I have my reservation about the size of the balcony, second floor. So could you tell me, like, is that it's going to be posing a privacy kind of issue for the neighbors as far as the size of the balcony is concerned?
Sorry, I believe that there is misunderstanding. We don't have a variance a size of a balcony.
So, Mohammed, if I can identify the
Is
variance
the-
number 3 is related to a canopy
Is the canopy, I'm sorry, is the canopy which is encroaching beyond the area, right?
Above a
This-
platform may
yeah.
encroach into a required building setback to the same extent as the platform, and the proposed front canopy encroaches beyond. So the idea is that, so the bylaw requires that if you have a platform, the canopy should be right on top of it. There's a little bit of an encroachment of the canopy beyond the platform. So that's what the variance is for.
Thank you for correction, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you still want a clarification?
No, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I was just, yeah, thank you.
Okay, no problem. So Tanya, thank you for identifying that. The question has been answered. Any further questions for Tanya? Tanya, are you aware of the conditions of community planning staff report that if the committee, should the committee grant approval, that it be tied to the drawings?
Yes, I'm aware, and we are okay with it.
Okay, so you will not have any concern, you do not have any concerns with those conditions. There are also conditions from urban forestry,
Yes, we recently received.
and you have no questions on that?
report and- No, we agree with that, and of course, the owner will proceed with the regular application to urban forestry.
Okay, all right.
Through you, Madam Chair, I forgot to ask a question, if that's all right, of Tanya. Tanya, one of the letters of objection from your neighbors includes a request. Oh wait, no, is that not the pavers one? Never mind. Never mind. I'm confusing myself with another item. Apologies.
No problem, okay. No further questions for Tanya? Okay, so we will now move to speaking with the participants who have registered with us. So we have Sherry McDonald. Sherry, are you with us? Sherry McDonald, resident at 19 Dorine Crescent, are you with us?
I am with you. Where is this? Yes.
Okay, no, that's okay. We're all learning here. That's okay, no problem. So Sherry, can you hear us loud and clear?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So Sherry, you have registered with us to speak with us on this application. Please proceed with speaking to this item.
Well, actually, my agent will speak first, if that's preferable to the committee.
And what's your agent's name?
Rod Seifert.
Oh, okay, all right. We didn't realize, we had him listed, but we weren't sure if that was another member or yeah. So thank you for clarifying. So absolutely, Rod, please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, Rod. Are you with us? We can hear you.
Thank you. So yes, I represent Sherry McDonald with respect to this application. She is the owner of the house to the east of the property, which is going to be adversely affected by the erection of a garage that's within 2.5 inches or 37 centimeters from the lot line. I have made a written submission as well on her behalf. I won't plan to repeat myself. I don't plan to repeat myself. I would note that the applicant or the owner or his agent has never approached Ms. McDonald to discuss the unfortunate situation that he proposes to create, how it could be mitigated. If there is any way of mitigating it, I just point out that the garage that is currently there has been there for decades, and Ms. McDonald's patio and garden has been created and has been maintained in the context of the existing garage. She has a mature and healthy locust tree that area where opposite where the new garage is being built, well as lilac bushes. In my written submission, I have included images or photographs showing the trees in the context of looking west towards applicant's property indicates that condition. The fact of the matter is, by erection of this garage, you look at the survey that's been included with the applicant's application, and at sheets 15 and what's the number? That's you will see 15 and 20. We'll see that garage will be height of 3.8 meters or 12 2/3 feet, and will extend for 18 feet from the back of Ms. McDonald's home. So you will have a large area that will be right up against her property. It will be, as I say, some 18 feet by whatever that height was, 12 feet high. So about 230 square feet. And if you look at also at the house that is being set back a few feet, second story, it actually will read the much larger blank wall. This will be cutting off her sky views. It will cut off sunlight in the afternoons. It will definitely appreciate value and the enjoyment of her home. In addition, where the tree is built, or I'm sorry, grown, where the lilac bushes are, there is no doubt that root system will be affected by the excavation for a garage. Will likely lead to serious health effects to that garage, that tree, may indeed cause injury to the tree, maybe even its death, and so there may be damage to the home.
Okay, Mr. Stafford, if I can sort of, I know, and thank you for your submission, for the detailed submission that you have sent our way. We have read it. All committee members have read it and understand. So if I can sort of just summarize, the concern is fundamentally to the required, so there are three variances before us. So your discussion or your concern is primarily related to the required side yard setback reduction, correct? As it relates to that garage that is being proposed.
Yes.
Okay.
I have an objection to the canopy.
And the
Of
canopy.
course, the eaves minor variance
Yes.
would disappear if you also, if the
Okay.
setback issue was addressed.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Okay. So would you like to add anything before I move to our committee members to have questions for you?
Well, I would like to just indicate that in addition to the disenjoyment that she would have with her property, the context of this particular house and in the neighborhood and her street is that they all have wide side yard setback. There is probably no reason why they cannot build they're getting down to the 90 centimeters. If they can build the 90 centimeters, the side yard, can't object. To go from basically 3 feet down to 37 centimeters or 14 inches is, in our view, beyond the pale.
Okay.
Speaking of the garage that's existing there, as I mentioned, setback, the garden patio would not be affected. I can't speak to Ms. McDonald because I'm not with her. I suspect she wouldn't object if there was a replacement garage that was built in the same location, even though it's correct, 35 centimeters from the lot line. Because her entire garden, the tree, the shrubs, etc., the patio, would not be then affected by this huge wall that's going to go up 14 inches from her lot line.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mrs. Stifford. I think we captured all your concerns. We have a question, so Member M has a question for you. Member M.
Hi there, Rod. I think you actually just answered my question. It was, you recognize that the existing garage is at that very same setback from that same property line. However, I was going to say, would it satisfy your client if it was rebuilt in the same manner, in the same location? So it's, to me, I'm hearing that it's not so much the actual, it can't actually be the location being 3.7 meters. It's how close it comes to her dwelling versus the existing condition. So with the garage being attached to the house, it brings that condition closer to your client's house and impacts her garden, as you were saying. The second thing I would like to just bring to your attention, you talked about height and privacy and sunlight. I want you to realize that there is no variances before us today relating to those aspects. There is no requirement for an increase of height. So they are going to be building this new dwelling within the existing requirements of the bylaw. So that garage, as well as the two-story dwelling, is in compliance from a height perspective. So really what I'm hearing today, and the things that we have in our realm of control as committee members, is really only the placement of that garage in relation to that side yard lot line. So with that, I guess after other committee members discuss, we can maybe perhaps talk to the applicant about the possibilities. I did request Tanya to provide clarification whether the whole footprint could be moved, and I hope you were online when we were having that discussion. But we have confirmed that this is not possible to shift the building because they will be building it on the existing foundations of the existing building. So really, the only matter in which we can discuss today is whether or not the garage would be attached to the dwelling or could be possibly rebuilt in the existing place. And with that, I'm gonna bring the mic back to Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member M. We have a question. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure whether the neighbor and the owner are aware that there is an additional condition with this application from Urban Forestry, and that is submission of an application for a permit to injure or remove a privately owned trees on adjacent property. So there will be, before this building permit is issued, a requirement for the owner to submit an application to Urban Forestry to discuss the location of the trees on her property and on the adjacent property. That should resolve some of your issues with regard to the locust tree and the lilac trees. Are you aware of those conditions? I guess to both the applicant, are you in agreement? And to the neighbor, are you aware of that? And should you be happy that there will be some consideration given to the location of your trees?
Mr. Stifford, go ahead.
And that is
Rod, we are breaking you out here.
Like, if I may, just
Yeah, so Rod, we cannot understand what you're saying. Okay, so you may want to speak in the mic, but there's also some interruption. So it's a combination of both low volume as well as interruption.
okay.
Rod, can you hear us?
You hear me now?
I can hear you better. Please go on.
Oh, thank you. I apologize. Just wanted to say that we weren't aware of the forestry condition. It must have come late in the piece. Secondly, my comments, if I may, with respect to height, are more on the, we have recognized that the height is in compliance with the zoning. It was more in the context that even at 37 centimeters versus 90 centimeters, angle of this massive wall will have an impact on sunlight and views. Mr. McDonald is on the line, I believe. He can comment on whether or not having the garage in the existing location it is now would be objectionable. I would ask that you consider speaking to her about that, asking her directly that question. I can't.
Okay, but as you know, Rod, if they were to come in with a garage at that location and were to comply with the setback, they are within their zoning rights to build that garage at a height that is permitted by the zoning bylaw. And as legal counsel, I'm sure you're aware that views and sunlight are often, not part of the variances. They are, absolutely, there are considerations, but if someone was to come in with the permitted and constructing within the permissions, they are well within their rights to do so. So I'm going to leave it at that. If there are no further questions for Rod, I will move to Sherry. Sherry, would you like to speak before? And I'll tell you why, because Rod and Sherry, once you've had your chance, and once we go to the applicant to rebut your concerns, we will not come back to you. So if you want to summarize or add in anything else, please do so. This is your chance.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to basically just reiterate how much I have invested in my garden and my property, and I enjoyed a great deal. Now, the other, so I'm really just requesting, and I would be very pleased to just have that garage constructed in its existing location in accordance with the zoning bylaws. And that's all I really have to say on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Any questions for Sherry?
Actually, this is a question for staff, through you, Madam Chair. If they were to construct the garage in the existing location, it would still require a variance, would it not? Yes. So we would still be putting forward a variance today for that same amount.
I can't make zoning interpretations, but that would appear to be correct.
Okay, thank you.
I agree. Okay, thank you. If there are no further questions for Sherry and Rod, we will move to Tanya. Tanya, are you online with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so Tanya, you heard the concerns expressed by Rod and Sherry. Could we please hear your response on those concerns?
Yes, thank you very much. We were aware of the letter of objection, and it's great, of course, to hear the neighbor and also to give more explanation regarding this proposal. If probably is a great question about detached garage, if a new detached garage would replace the existing one. In fact, the zoning requirements for a detached garage are that a permitted height for the detached garage is 4 meters, and setback for the detached garage is 0.3 meters, which means close to 1 foot or less than where the existing garage is standing. Currently proposed height of our attached garage is 383, which means lower than 4 meters, which is for detached garage allowed for the per zoning. And also setback is not 0.3 as it would be permitted for detached. It is 0.37 meters or 37 centimeters. I would also mention that existing garage has size of 345 and length is 6 meters and 16 centimeters. our proposed garage now is has width of 3 meters and 40 centimeters, and length is 5 meters and 90 centimeters, which means in fact that it is shorter. It's proposed shorter east wall towards the neighbor on the east side, and also the height of the wall is lower than, because the garage currently is proposed with a flat roof. Otherwise, usually detached garages are with a sloped roof, and that's why it's permitted up to 4 meters in height. As I mentioned previously, because we are now attaching this garage to a house, and it looks as it is provided in the drawings as well as in the rendering in our supporting document, it's obviously that the form of the detached garage is distinctive in respect to volume and mass of the house. So it looks like a kind of semi-detached structure. And regarding the eaves, we have a drainage from the flat roof to the front and to the back. So in fact, the gutters are going to be front and back, and there is no, of course, possibility that there is dripping or over. There is additional water on the east side, and but that small overhang is in fact something which helps and contributes to ventilation of a flat roof, and it's good to have a certain space on that side. If we would go with a detached garage, allowed setback for eaves is 15 centimeters, and we have this here proposed 22 centimeters. It's just in fact that this garage, which is in a way it's distinctive as a garage, but it's a part of the house, and now in fact its overhang and its roof and its setback is considered as a setback of a garage. When a gentleman was talking about the big setbacks at the
Tanya, I think you've clearly explained the questions that we had. I don't think we have
I just
further.
have one more.
Okay, so I will now defer to members. Member M has a question.
Just one thing. So I'm assuming from your description of your response, you and your applicant are not agreeable to possibly rebuilding the detached garage in its existing location. Can you please confirm your position on that?
Yes, we would like to propose this design where the garage is merged with the house.
Okay.
And it's,
Okay.
and it's
Thank you.
full volume of
That's all I wanted to hear.
Okay, thank you so much, Tanya. I think Member M got her
May I
answer.
may I just add that the clients had significant discussion in the neighborhood, and unfortunately it happened that in several attempts they didn't have successful talks with the neighbor from Dorine 19 Dorine Crescent, but they obtained 9 letters of support from their immediate neighborhood.
Yes, but Tanya, I think it's important to know that the neighbor who's most impacted is 19 Dorine, and that is Sherry, and then so I really appreciate that you have the consent of other neighbors, but I think the most impacted one is the one that was speaking with us today. So just a question, is there an opportunity to meet the setback requirement for this garage?
Of 0.9.
Of 0.9 meters.
Then, even if we reduce the width of the addition at the back, there is no opportunity, because then we will lose that requirement of a regular access of the garage, which is 2.6 meters in radius from, and that is determined also with the existing width of the driveway. So that is what is shown on the page A14.
Oh, I see.
Ground floor plan.
I see.
I think we can bring this into committee now.
Okay, all right, thank you, Tanya. Any further questions? Mohammed, McCall, Mr. Okay. All right, thank you, Tanya. I think we've had enough discussion on this one. We are prepared to bring this into committee for consideration and make a decision on this application.
So just to start, as we're talking in committee, while I completely appreciate the concerns from the neighbor, it is definitely unfortunate. There are limitations from a technical standpoint of trying to meet the requirement. Had this driveway space be located somewhere where it wouldn't impact sort of the turning radiuses of the garage, I would strongly encourage that the applicant revise by reducing the width of the addition to comply with that 0.9. But given the restrictions of the current site context, and given that the existing garage is actually in fact a larger length and at the same 0.37 from the existing side lot line, I'm of the position that I feel that we should be able to support this, even though I understand that, you know, it's a change for that direct neighbor. And we did ask the questions that we could within our realm to see if there was ways to mitigate that, but due to those sort of site constraints, it's just not possible. So with that, I'm prepared to support this.
And committee members, just if I may, we have to remember that we have to test these variances against the 4 tests. So does it meet the intent of the official plan, the zoning bylaw? Is it minor in nature? And is it desirable? So keeping those in mind as well.
I do feel that I could state that it meets the 4 tests, Madam Chair.
Okay. Member Macaulay?
Madam Chair, I too would support approval of this application, but in order to meet the 4 tests and in view of the concerns of the neighbor who are impacted, we want to have some certainty that this is what is being built. That we've come to the conclusion that there isn't a viable alternative, and therefore I would support the application subject to community planning conditions, that the buildings be built in accordance with the drawings of the front, side, and garage elevations. I've got side elevations here. And the condition of urban forestry for a tree permit report.
Okay, so just to recap, we have 2 conditions from community planning. We have 2 conditions from urban forestry. Okay, and we do not have a motion yet. There was some consideration, but, okay, we were just discussing, okay.
But I'm prepared to put forward a motion if we are done discussing. Member Saeed?
Member Mohammed, do you want to, okay.
So you have no further questions? Okay. So with that, I'm prepared to put forward a motion subject to the 2 urban forestry conditions and the 2 planning conditions for approval of this application.
Okay.
Through the chair. Just for clarification, the planning conditions are as stated in the staff report?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So if I can just read it. So the owner shall build substantially in accordance with the following drawings as it relates to the front canopy. Was there committee members, was there something in terms of tying the plans to the location of the garage or something that you were contemplating?
If that was not covered in the planning conditions, then I would like to make it subject to tying the approval to the location of the garage as outlined in the site plan.
Okay, so the committee, thank you for flagging that, Mr. Ramdell. The conditions of community planning only relate to the front canopy. What I'm hearing is that you would like to tie the decision, if it was to be approved, to a plan, and that plan would be all the plans or?
The site plan.
The site plan, okay. Do you want to look at the?
Which is, I believe, plan.
Do you also want to look at the elevation? Because you were No? Okay.
No, because it's mostly the location of the garage, so it's the site. Okay, so let me amend my motion. So I'll put forward a motion of approval subject to the urban forestry conditions and the community planning conditions to tie the front canopy to the approval. And I would like to add a condition to also tie the location of the garage to the site plan as drawing A1.1.
May I have a seconder?
One moment, I'm just looking at drawing A14, which shows the location of the garage.
Oh, do I have the wrong drawing in front of me?
That's a floor plan. It's the ground floor plan.
Yes, but that's the.
Sorry, A-01.
So site plan is A-01.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor to approve for approval of this application, subject to conditions of community planning, subject to conditions of urban forestry, and committee's recommendation that the approval be tied to site plan A01 that's before us today. Have a seconder, please.
I will second that motion. I just found that plan.
Thank you. Member McCauley seconds the motion. All in favor? Thank you. Motion's carried. Your application has been approved, subject to conditions of urban forestry, subject to conditions of community planning, and subject to the condition that this be tied to Plan A01, the site plan. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. We will now move to item 7. Item 7 is 66 Cornell Avenue. And we have as the agent, Mr. Jarusik, online.
Present.
Thank you. And Joe and Michelle Natalie.
Yeah.
Okay. So Joe and Michelle, you have registered to speak in opposition or in support of this application?
Opposition.
Okay, thank you very much. So this application at 66 Cornell Avenue is to construct a new two-story single-family residential dwelling, and we have 3 variances related to the lot coverage, maximum permitted floor area, and the maximum permitted area of a balcony at or above the second floor. Members of the committee, would you like to have a presentation from Mr. Jarusik, or would you like to dive into questions if you have any at this time?
I don't have any questions.
Member McCauley, do you have any questions? No? Okay. Mr. Jarusik, would you like to say anything before we move on to hearing from the residents?
I was going to say the application is very straightforward in terms of what we're requesting. In this neighborhood, being Red Deer, Cornell, and Audrey, there's numerous applications of this nature and actually larger in terms of post coverage and floor space index than what we're proposing on this one. We've kept within the zoning boundaries and lengths, so I think this meets the 4 tests of the applications for minor variance.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? Okay. So, Michelle and Joe, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, Michelle, please go ahead and let us know of your concerns.
Okay. Is Joe on this also? He can speak first.
Sure. No problem. Joe, please go ahead. He's on the same call as I heard.
Okay, so he's not there?
Oh, so he's not with you?
No, he's at another, he's at work.
Okay. Joe, can you hear us? He's not. Okay, so if you're listening to us on YouTube, we will start with Michelle, but if you can join, please join at any point and let us know. So Michelle, as you heard, Joe is not online with us yet. Would you like to proceed with your expressing your concerns?
Okay, sorry, one question. He's saying he can hear you, but you can't hear him. Is there something he's doing wrong?
Okay, let me check with our experts here. So he can hear us. Is he unmuted?
He's on a landline call.
Oh, he's on the landline call. What's the number that he has dialed in with? The number should be 41.
Same one.
Okay, so Joe.
One I did.
Okay, so Joe, if you're listening to us, you should be dialing in at 416-915-6530, and the access code would be 133-061-6797. Okay, I think we know you're calling in. Can you identify your number or like how to, okay. Michelle, can you identify the number that he's calling in with?
The 813, I think it's 8996 maybe?
I see. Okay, so he's perhaps calling in with a number that we have not identified as a registered number. So now he's online. Joe, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. So just for listeners who are listening to us right now, please call in with the number that you've registered with us with. Because if we receive a call from an unidentified number, you probably won't be let in. So just call in with the number that you've registered us with.
Okay, hold on.
Go ahead.
A second.
You don't have to register. This was a call for everybody who's listening to us. So you go ahead. You're online with us.
Okay, I can do it now.
Yeah, go ahead. No. We can hear you. Go ahead. Just carry on. Start talking.
Okay, so the issues I have with this application, we have on that property. There's 3 huge mature oak trees. Where they propose to put the new house right beside mine is there's one huge oak tree that's probably half on my property line, half on theirs. Now, by bringing that house over towards my property line or our property line, it's going to kill that tree. Is that proposed to take that tree down?
What's your address, sir?
It's 72 Cornell, and just to the north.
Oh, okay.
There's one big tree right in the front of my house, and if he brings his house over to there, it's going to kill that tree.
So let us check.
And I don't think it shows that on the drawing.
We don't see it on the drawing.
Yeah, right. So it should be on that drawing,
Okay.
right? Because it's not on there. There's a huge oak tree right there in the front.
Okay,
It's
so
got to be 100 to 150 years old.
okay. So we will ask Mr. Jarusik when he comes back and speaks with us, but you carry on.
Yeah, and there's also so with the distance of bringing the house back over north and west, there's also another oak tree which is going to be impacted, which will need to come down.
Okay, so just so you know,
I see that on the drawing. I see it circled on the drawing, but I don't know if it's. I'm not quite sure how to read the drawing and saying that is that going to be coming down too. And there's also another oak tree which is further back, which will not be impacted by that by the house. Also, the proposed second floor balcony will be looking right into my backyard. It's going to be right on my property line. I might as well just be sitting up there with them in the balcony because it's just going to be so close to my house. I'm not sure why they need such a big balcony on the back. They still have quite the backyard out there. Also, how am I going to maintain my property, my house on that north or on the south side of my house? I have no idea how I'm going to do that with them coming in so close. There's no way I'm going to be able to get a ladder up there to maintain my shingles or eavestrough, anything like that. I know that they're over on the south side right now towards the property on the south, but now they're proposing to move that off of that property line and move it over towards the north side, which is on my side.
Okay, so we don't see. Sorry, Joe, I'm just going to interrupt here. So we don't see any variance for a reduction in a side yard setback. As far as we can tell, the setback, because it's not before us in the variance, it appears that they meet the required setback on that side as it relates to your property line or the mutual property line on your side. So, but we will talk to Mr. Jarusik about it. We will get the clarification on that one. Anything else you want to add?
Michelle, you have anything else to add?
Just that all three of these proposed variances are not minor variances. They're extreme.
I'm just more concerned about that oak tree in the front. I don't know how they're going to bring that house over that close without damaging that tree. And obviously, it's not on the drawing, so I don't know why it's not on the drawing in the first place. And there's no possible way they can dig that house, put that foundation in there without taking that tree down. Which is, I'm not going to agree to that at all.
Okay, so we have a survey plan prepared by a surveyor. As far as I can tell, there's no tree shown there at the front of the property. There's definitely 3 trees shown, or more than 3 actually, or 3 maybe, along that side. But there's nothing shown at the front, but we will get that clarification from Mr. Jurusik. But just so you know, Urban Forestry has reviewed the plans and they have submitted conditions. Should the committee approve it, there will be 2 conditions applied. One is to, just bear with me, one is to submit a complete application for permit to injure or remove a privately owned tree. And then the other condition is to ask for a replacement street tree. So maybe, is that oak tree the one that you're referring to? Is that in the tree, is that in the road allowance? It's not, eh?
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm just looking at the street view, and there is a fairly large tree.
There is.
It does appear to be on the neighbor's property, and perhaps with the survey, they only incorporated trees that were within the property limits. So that could be possibly why we are not seeing the tree on the drawings. So with that, what I'm thinking is very similar to the past application, is that perhaps committee could consider a condition saying that there will be an application for a permit to injure or destroy a tree on an adjacent property owner's land.
Okay, I'll be a little hesitant in putting a condition to that effect ourselves without Urban Forestry reviewing it, because we don't know the state and health and where exactly it is. So I'd be a little hesitant, and who knows where the drip line is and whatnot. So we'll talk to Mr. Jurusik and then we'll see.
Perfect.
Mr. Said, you had some questions?
No, I was just adding to that.
Okay, so just bear with us. Just bear with us. Member Said has a question for you.
Because I think the Urban Forestry is going to take care of this issue of the 3 trees. These are on the private property. All these 3 trees, the oak trees. Yes, these are big tree, and as you mentioned, there are 2 conditions of Urban Forestry are there. So even if we approve it, the Urban Forestry is going to make the conditions for
But
that.
I think the problem here is, as Member M identified, it's not one tree that has been flagged by the neighbor is not shown on these plans.
So Member Said, the conditions of urban forestry are for the trees that are shown on the drawings, which are contained within the applicant's lands. So the neighbor has concerns of trees on his lands, and that's what we don't have any review for. So urban forestry would not have known that there was a tree there because it wasn't shown. So I think it's...
Can I just speak up for 1 second?
Is all these
Just bear with us, we're having some discussion.
is all these 3 trees are in this property, or you're talking same?
So if you're looking at the plan that Brian has up on the screen, if he could scale out a little bit. So there are 3 trees that are within the applicant's property, 2 of which are proposed to be removed, 1 of which is to stay. Now, the issue that I'm dealing with in my mind in relation to the neighbor's comments is that there is a very mature oak tree that you can see visibly from both the aerial photography and as well as the street that appears to be on the neighbor's property. So because it was on the neighbor's property, I'm assuming that the surveyor was only authorized to survey the applicant's property. Therefore, any trees on adjacent properties were not cataloged. And as such, the Urban Forestry Department were not aware of those trees and therefore did not review the impact to those trees.
Okay, Joe, please go ahead. You wanted to make a comment.
Yeah, so just to let you know, there's only 3 trees on that whole property. And there's 2 in the backyard. and there's the one in the front.
Yeah.
It's hard to say where that tree lands. It's like half, I think it's right on the lot line. So it'd be half on 66 property and half on 72's property. So I don't know why they're saying there's 3 trees in the backyard, because they're not in the backyard. There's 2 trees in the back, and there's 1 tree in the front.
At the front.
Okay, so we'll get that clarification from the applicant. Okay, so is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think I'm pretty good.
And Michelle, you're good as well?
Yeah.
Okay, just so you know, once we move on to the applicant, you will not be getting a chance to speak again. So I just wanted to make sure that you've captured all your comments and delivered everything. Okay, thank you.
I just have one more question then. So if they put an application, they can go ahead and take that tree down, even though it's on my property?
No. It'll be for a tree on their property. So I think the issue here is that that particular tree that you're referring to, Joe, has not been captured either through a survey or the site plan that's before us. And that's a question, we will ask the agent, Mr. Jurusik. And if that tree has not been shown, and in your opinion, there will be an impact because the way the tree is situated as a result of that development, then the committee will deliberate and discuss how to deal with it. And perhaps that information will be necessary in terms of discussing or making a decision on what to do with that tree. So we will certainly get into that discussion with Mr. Jurusik. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I will now move on to Ms. Go ahead. Okay, so Joe and Michelle, we're moving on now. Mr. Jurusik, can you hear us?
Yes, I
Okay.
can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
So we can hear you. Thank you. So, Mr. Jurusik, you heard the concerns about the trees in particular, and also in the residents' opinion, the variances that are requested are not minor. How would you like to respond to each of those that were raised?
Okay, in terms of the issues with the tree at the front, it does appear to be on the neighbor's property. Regarding the forestry applications that we have, regardless of what's shown on the survey, any applications to the forestry department, which is a condition, will require an arborist report, and they do require us to look at adjacent properties for potential trees that might be affected in addition to the ones that we've noted on the property. So that tree will be noted on any application to forestry as a potential tree that might fall into the scope of injury. It does appear to be on his property from what I've ascertained on the street views and aerial photographs. So we do not have a right to request that to be knocked down, just to provide the proper applications for injury. Now, we did note that the proposed house is set back further than the existing house. So I know the existing house was further away from that property line, but the large tree is in front of 72, and our new house and foundation is actually set back further than the 72 foundation wall. So there will be, so there is some mitigation that we took into account when we were citing the plans to put it back towards that. Through my experience, that does help with the mitigation of any root structures that might have been developed. Without boring you guys, they might require some hand digging in that area and some root treatment as mitigation during construction. That's usually a forestry request when we're applying for the permit. The tree in the back, only the one oak tree that's right where the house is going to be demolished, is being requested to be removed. The 0.8, the large oak tree in the back, is to remain on the property. Regarding that, regarding the overlook of the deck, we have no concerns if committee wants to put in a condition to put screening along that side of the deck. We do have a railing there that is 3 feet, and we have no issue if it's in the interest of the committee to increase that to a 6-foot a privacy screen on that side of the deck, which would not permit that balcony to have an overlook into the neighbor's property. That deck is, we are permitted 4 square meters, and The reason why we've created it slightly larger, it's more of a structural issue to follow within the deck below as well, to kind of maintain structure. So the deck below won't have a column in the middle of it if we made it smaller. It makes the ground, the deck in the lower level have any, eliminate any impedance of any columns or whatnot. So that's why we matched up the balcony upstairs with the deck below, just to create easier structural situation there.
But
In
it's
my,
still
in my,
possible, right, Mr. Jerusik? It's still possible to, it's still possible to reduce the size and do some structural magic there to accommodate a smaller deck. It's not that it's technically constrained. It's just a matter of desire that you would like to have the structure the way you're proposing.
Yeah, we are 7 feet deep, I believe, on that deck. We can bring it back to the in line with that to where the door is. At that point, it's still going to require a variance, right? To reduce it to half. Sorry, that's the issue. To reduce it to 4 square meters, and not to have that door, we can't reduce it to half without impeding with now bringing a column in structurally in terms of this design, without getting into heavy steel and overhangs and stuff like that to kind of mitigate a column, eliminate a column.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Jerusik, we have a question.
Mr. Jerusik, since we're talking about this balcony, and I did have a question for you, would you be willing to put up privacy screening on the one side that's adjacent to the owner that is has an opposition before us today?
That's why I just suggested 5 minutes ago. Yes.
Oh,
no
sorry.
problem. That's all right.
Okay,
I have no issues of putting a privacy screen on that neighbor's side.
Okay, carry on. Do you want to add anything else?
In terms of the other comments from the other neighbor regarding that these do not meet the test in terms of they are grossly over the requirements, just want to note in the neighboring areas, 72 Red Deer received 43.7 with a 0.76 FSI, 19 Red Deer received 43 with a 0.72, and many other ones. Those are just the two I did myself in the last 5 years in that neighborhood. So there are other architects and designers in that area that have had very similar FSIs and coverages. So this is not out of the norm in terms of what people are redeveloping on this site. And the biggest thing is here, we've kept the design to all the other setbacks, building length. So in terms of the envelope of where the house can fit, we're complying with that. We're just requesting a little bit of a coverage and a larger house for the FSI. With the overlook. So I think that this does meet the test in light of other applications in the neighborhood that have been passed in the past.
Mr. Jerusik, did you or your client make an effort to meet with Joe and Michelle?
I haven't had a chance. I don't know if my client met with them or not.
It comes up again and again when applications like this happen, and especially when we have a situation where developers are building these buildings and, are not speaking with the neighbors who are going to be living with these new developments in the area. We, as committee, always encourage and sort of repeat all the time to make that effort and to have that conversation with the immediate neighbors. It really helps for neighborly relations as well as minimizing, the issues or potential issues and complaints. On that note, members of committee, any questions for Mr. Jerusik?
I guess the only question I have is if you are prepared to bring the deck in line with the rear wall of the house, would you know what that new number would be in order to alter the variance before us?
If we were to bring that down, I could do a quick calculation right now. This is pretty much length times width at that point. We're at 7 feet now. Luckily, I'm in my office, so I can look at AutoCAD here myself. So we're at 5.5 feet. If I brought it back times 4.04, it would be 6.95.
Okay, square meters.
Square meters, correct.
How much? 6 point?
6.95.
6.95.
So, I'm prepared to deliberate in committee.
Okay, so we have no further questions for you, Mr. Jurusik. We will now go into committee and prepare for a decision. So, committee members, do you want to discuss this further or ready with a motion?
I do have just sort of a statement like I did with the last one. Once again, with respect to the adjacent neighbors who are most impacted, I'm pleased to hear that the applicant is willing to make some alterations in order to mitigate that impact towards that direct neighbor. So I'm prepared to support this application with the revision to reduce the second-story balcony to 6.95 square meters as opposed to what they have originally applied for, as well as the provision of a 1.8 meter privacy fence along, I believe that's the north side of that balcony. And I also want to state that they are within their rights to build to a 0.9 side yard setback, as that is currently the bylaw requirement. So that is not before us today. And while I appreciate it's a change from the existing condition, it is within the applicant's right to construct to that limit.
I would like to ask the committee for their opinion on the tree. And the way Mr. Jurusik explained is that in order for them to obtain their permits from the Urban Forestry Department, they have to prepare an arborist report. But my understanding is that those arborist reports will be prepared for the trees on the private property. Why would an arborist report be required for a tree
Actually, there is, from my understanding, a requirement of trees within a certain distance of the property limit have to be recorded by an arborist by their profession.
Okay, so maybe if I can ask Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer for some explanation on that?
That is correct. There is, as far as arborist reports, they do need to look at adjacent properties within, I believe it's 6 meters.
Oh,
6 meters of the adjacent properties.
Okay, for any drip lines and things. Okay, all right. Okay, perfect.
So that to me, when Mr. Jurusik had stated that there will be an arborist report, satisfies my concern with that
Okay,
front
no, it
tree.
satisfies my concern as well. And now that I have information from staff, I'm satisfied. Okay, so do we have any further discussion points, or are we prepared to make a motion?
Madam Chair, I just give my comments on that. I'm also satisfied with the overall explanation given by Mr. Jurasik. Thank you, Jurasik, for accommodating the balcony and the changes suggested by Amy. And also, as far as the trees are concerned, Joy concern was very valid because he is the immediate neighbor going to be impacted. But of course, the urban forestry is going to take care of that. It's not only all those 3 trees in the Joy's property, but even if it is determined in the neighbor property, they will be taken care of. So with that, I am satisfied over that, and I'm willing to support it.
Okay.
Okay, so
motion, please.
So with that, I put forward a motion of approval, subject to the urban forestry conditions, as well as revisions to the application, which is to variance number 3, to permit a maximum balcony at or above the second floor of 6.95 meters squared, as well as the provision of a 1.8 meter high privacy fence on the north side.
Okay. Seconder, please.
Madam Chair, I will second the application for approval, subject to the condition mentioned.
And as modified?
As modified, yeah.
All in favor of this motion? Motion carries. The application has been approved with the modification to variance number 3, subject to the condition that a 1.8 meter privacy fence will be installed on the balcony. On the north side?
On the north side.
On the north side.
And the reduction in the square meters of variance number 3.
That's correct. And the reduction in the size of the balcony to 6.95.
Correct.
That's it. Application's approved.
Madam Chair, it's
Yes.
12:12. Can we take our scheduled nature break?
Absolutely. So for those of you who are listening to us, the committee will take a 5-minute break, a quick refresher break, and we'll be back to you at about 12, just by around 12:20. Thank you. We have an announcement. Please go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, through the chair, I just want to make a brief announcement. Due to the limitations on our live streaming, the AM session of our live stream will end, and when we return to committee, we'll be starting the PM session. So for everybody watching on YouTube right now, this AM session will end. So if you do wish to continue watching, please navigate to the July 10th Scarborough PM session. Thank you.